Hello and welcome to yet another YouTube video here on this channel. Today we are diving into another one of these productivity news videos where I talk about some news in the productivity app space and what they mean for the applications as well as the overall productivity space. And there are three things we are going to cover, and I will leave timestamps down below so you can check out the ones you want, or you could just watch the whole video. That's totally up to you. But the first one is Todoist and Todoist calendar, which has gotten a little bit better with the ability to plan your day by dragging and dropping tasks. I will show you how that works and what that means for Todoist and why they are going in this direction. The second one is Capacities and offline. Capacities has actually taken a huge steps towards becoming fully functional offline. We will go through what they have implemented and what this means. I have talked about Capacities and offline in one of the earlier videos, but it is here now, or at least partially here. And the last thing is that Notion has added charts, and we will quickly go over what that looks like, and I will talk a little bit about what that means. So let's just jump into Todoist as the first one. This is an experimental feature, which means that it is not available for everyone yet, but I am guessing that it will be available for everyone after it is out of the experimental stage, which can feel a little like a beta stage. But the way this works, so right now we actually do have some of these abilities. If I jump into here, I can actually see the tasks that have been due, but I have not been able to finish them. I can actually see them right here. But what they are trying to do is the fact that you can see all of your tasks in your today view like this. So just to show you the image here, see all of your tasks in your today view, and you can drag things into your calendar. This feels a lot like something like Ample Note is offering, and one of the reasons why people love Ample Note so much is the ability to do that sort of scheduling from your tasks. So what Todoist is trying to do now is to offer the same thing. We have some of the functionality. If I just take this film YouTube video, which I'm doing right now, I can just drag this and sort of time block it, but it introduces the ability to do time blocking. Another example is that I can drag this to actually show how long it is supposed to be, which is around an hour. This is a little hard when you're not good at like small tasks at the computer, but basically this is how it works. So they are going more towards fully functioning calendar. And what does that actually mean? It is really important for an application like Todoist to stay relevant, and it has been staying relevant for such a long time. It is one of the staples in the productivity space, but it is losing to applications like Akiflow, applications like Motion, and these daily planner applications. Another great one is Routine, which is a newer one. People are choosing these daily planner applications to do both time blocking tasks and to add a bit of, let's call it, mindfulness, which some of these applications do allow into your daily planning system. It is much better to see in a calendar how long a task is going to take and how much time you actually have. So people are going more towards these applications, and regular to-do list applications are actually losing. And Todoist did not have a calendar, while things like TickTick actually did have a native calendar which you could use to do calendar blocking. And it just made sense that Todoist was going to apply something like that as well. So this is a great improvement for Todoist, and they are now taking up the battle with some of the daily planner applications that has gained a lot of hype Next up on the list is Capacities and offline functionality. They actually released a tweet, I think it was either yesterday or today, but that's what we are going to take a look at. So Capacities has called this Steps Towards Offline Mode and Date Ranges a huge update. Capacities mostly works offline. Again, this is something I touched on in one of my earlier episodes of Productivity News. They are trying to become fully offline. So you can now create, edit, and read all of your notes anytime, anywhere. I think a lot of people would have been happy with just the ability here to be able to read and edit notes anywhere, anytime. Collections, dashboards, and object queries work offline. Your notes are stored on your computer in a secure format in the Capacities app. So this means that it is not like things like Obsidian or Logsec or even Anytype that they are stored in your file manager as markdown files. It's not like that. They're actually stored inside of the Capacities app in a secure format. If you're really into security and you know a lot about security, I would suggest diving deeper into this if that is important for you. And the whole app should feel much faster. Queries now update instantly, searches faster, and loading times have improved, which makes sense when the application is offline first. It should become faster. This is a huge step on our offline journey, but we aren't done yet. More offline functionality is coming soon, so I'm really excited about that as well. They've also made some improvements to date ranges. Natural language processing is now available, and they have given the date picker a makeover too. There are other exciting things here as well, but I won't dive too deep into those because I think the most important thing is actually the offline. So I am one of those who are not too who do not care too much about offline. It isn't that important to me. I don't travel a lot. I almost always have an internet connection. I'm almost always either at work or at home, and I have internet connection almost everywhere I am, so that isn't too important for me. But for a lot of people, this is really, really important for several different reasons. One of them being for people who travel a lot, having your notes available on an airplane when you are traveling for work, for example, just to take a random example out of the air. But there are many other things as well. Just the safety of having your notes available, even if your connection breaks down, is really, really important. And why is this important for Capacities? So Capacities is one of the hyped note-taking and productivity apps of this year and last year. I have talked a lot about the fact that this is one of the 3 applications I'm most excited about, 4 if you include Lazy. But things like Anytype, Evernote, Obsidian, to mention a few, are available offline. There are even more. Supernotes is available offline. There are a bunch that are available offline, and the consumer now expects that, and that has been one of the biggest issues people have had with things like Notion, which is something Capacities is trying to compete against. One of the biggest problems with Notion is that it is not available offline. You can't turn off your internet connection and actually use the application. And there are 2 big problems with that. The one is that your notes aren't available if you don't have an internet connection. The second one is that the app tends to become a little more slow. So with the addition of offline and becoming offline first, Capacities removes these 2 major issues, and I think that it is great. It is a really smart thing to do, and I think that it is a thing that a lot of people will be happy about. Next up is Notion, and Notion has now added charts, and you can do a bunch of things with these charts. You can actually go ahead and you can change them up a little bit. You can change the property that it actually shows, which is really, really cool. So in this example, I'm showing you whether or not a social media idea is for my personal brand or for my clothing brand, or I can actually go into here and I can change this up to show which social media things are actually scheduled on. So, for example, I have 7 Instagram posts, 2 Instagram reels, 3 podcasts, and so on. So I could go ahead and I could do that, or I could actually do this for my tasks as well. So this works for every single database inside of your Notion space, which is great. So I can jump into my all tasks right here. I can press the plus and I can add a diagram from here, or a chart. It is diagram in Norwegian. It is chart in English. Anyways, back to back to Notion charts. This is the example they have presented themselves. It is really hard to speak English while reading Norwegian, so that is something I will keep in mind for my next video. But this shows you tasks by team. So here we have 4 different teams. Yeah, 4 different teams and how many tasks they have. And you can see it in different formats. As I showed you inside of here, we have different formats in our charts. So I can change this up to show me 4 different ways right here. So this is really, really cool, and it makes Notion databases a lot better. This is something that is more important for teams rather than individuals. It is great for individuals as well. I won't complain whenever Notion releases a new feature, but it is more tailored towards teams. And this is really important because it feels like Notion is trying to become the next big thing for team productivity. As I've said many times before, I think with the acquisition of things like Skiff, they are taking up the battle with things like Microsoft and Google. That is at least what I think they will do. And this is just another way for them to keep competing with the likes of Microsoft mainly, but also things like the Atlassian suite with Jira and Confluence. So more tailored towards team, because most of the money made for these companies are actually made in the B2B market and not the B2C market, so business to business and not business to consumer. And Notion doesn't actually make the most money out of you and me. They make the most money out of bigger corporations, which just makes sense. So this is a feature that is tailored more towards them, but it is a feature I love to have inside of Notion because I'm a more visual person. So it makes it easier for me to see things when I can have them presented visually in a chart. And that was all of the important productivity news for this week. Tune back in next week and do hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you again quite soon.